and this is how we always want you to spend your weekend evenings with us. It's so amazing and such a great feeling when we have to really come right inside your living room, inside your bedrooms, wherever you might find yourself, just so we spend an hour together. I'm Frema Edunyame.
And my name is Nanatufo, and what an awesome time it promises to be right here on the Upside Down Show.
Right here on ChannelOne TV.
Yes. And so you'd want to stick and stay. Don't make a move, don't flinch. Stick right there. We'll be right back.
Hello again. This is the Upside Down Show on ChannelOne TV, and you are very, very welcome. I'm Frema Edunyame, and I'm right here with that young man there.
That's the first day, and of course, we've been enjoying a remarkable story. I'll tell you what, this is actually a fountain of wisdom that we must all drink from. And so we are privileged to sit here with him, but of course, it's an honor to share the story with you behind your sets, watching us here on ChannelOne TV. Absolutely.
Now, if you did not join us last week, then I'm sure you probably caught the repeat somewhere during the week. If you did not, just ensure that after this conversation, you go back, to Citi, find it somewhere so you can connect the dots properly. Because we've come from Accra, Kumasi, Eastern Region, Accra, and currently we are in Kumasi. We are on the campus of KNUST, ladies and gentlemen. We are talking about the journey of one man who is telling your story and empowering change. And he's telling our story as well. The Samuel Atta-Mensah. Sammens, the oracle, the papacy. Papa, once again, you're welcome.
Thank you. What's this name? This oracle.
No, don't worry. For members only. You don't have to understand.
Oh, anyway,
if you drop the last don there, then now
the oracle. You know the oracles,
Really?
no? You know this tree worship song. Yes. When you hear the oracle, then you don't say it's not Papa mood. It's have you met the deadline move? Because the oracle is sitting up there waiting for you.
What must be delivered must be delivered.
People don't deliver. Anyway, Pops, so in our previous conversation, we had the privilege to enjoy your humble beginnings, and we left off on the campus of KNUST after being on the campus of University of Ghana for 3 weeks, not setting foot in any classroom. I wonder what you were doing on that campus for 3 weeks.
I was with my friend Kofi Jampo. Kofi Jampo was my very good friend, and where I was pitching with him 513 Annex A Akwafo Hall. So,
You remember?
It was a beautiful time that we were spending there. So so that's all I was doing.
But remember,
we're going to go to the KNUST campus, but before that, there was a spell at Action Chapel.
that was what I was going to go to. Yes. Before university, you started working at Action Chapel?
Well, I wouldn't say working. I spent my time there, not...
Okay. Doing what exactly?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our time after A-level, you do
National
service before you go to uni. After uni, you do another national service. And I actually became a full member of the church when I was doing my national service after A-level.
Okay.
And I was involved in a lot of things. So when I could not travel, I decided to rather spend the year volunteering.
Okay.
And so I was working as a volunteer at the Archbishop's office at the time, Pastor Nick's office, taking care of visitors when they came into Ghana, working on crusades, crusade planning, logistics for crusades. And so we used to travel with the team, these are the times when Ora Roberts would come to Ghana. We part of the crusade team, Archbishop Benson Idahosa, all those people that used to come. So we used to travel. So we traveled to Kumasi, we used to travel to different places. And So I spent more time there and also working in the church, setting up the pews, sweeping the church.
You an usher?
Washing, yes, I was an usher as well. Washing the carpets every week, going to pick up rented chairs for services. So I kept myself busy like that the whole year until I...
So around which year would this be?
Oh, this was 88.
88.
Yeah.
Where was Action Chapel at that time?
Airport. Airport
okay.
residential area.
Okay.
Yeah, so 88, yes, airport residential area. So I was, I'd gone to university when Action moved to the trade fair for their services. So we moved from trade fair. I mean, working there now, if like brought me closer to the life of Duncan Williams.
How is he like that man?
He's a real human being.
He is? That one feels like some spirits, you know.
No, he's for me, since I encountered him closely in '87, he's been my inspiration. He's the one who he energizes me, you know, and I have picked so many things from him you cannot imagine. I mean, I picked Leadership 101 from him.
Wow.
Okay.
No two ways about that. And it's been many years, many years, almost from '87 up until now. Will be 38 years. I have no regrets ever getting close to him, and he still inspires me. And as I live now, in my loneliest moments, in my most difficult moments, all I need is to sit with him, and he will recreate another perspective for you to hold on to. So it's been Duncan Williams right from day one throughout. I mean, there's the spiritual bit of it, which everybody that goes to church there will have. But mine goes beyond the spiritual. He's just a man that I have looked up to, and I still do. I look up to him. And that's what I got from working in the church, working in the Bible school at the time, you know. So lots of the pastors, and I'm talking about the charismatic pastors that's passed through, I know every one of them on first name basis.
Wow.
But you know, one interesting thing is
From
considering...
Kranchiankra,
Wow.
Apostle General, to Bishop Taki Aboy, to Reverend Eric Kwapong, to Dr. Otabil, to name them.
Yeah.
We saw all of them, and we served at the time.
But you know, it's interesting. For many people, spending this much of time in church would be a pastor themselves.
Yeah,
Was
I
it
can,
deliberate that you were not ordained, or you didn't find that pastor job quite attractive or something you could do? What was it?
Well, in the first place, I didn't see myself in that space. I had most of my friends, you know, while we were at Action, go into Bible school. But I never saw myself as somebody who had been called into the mission of pastoral work. I always saw myself as somebody who had been called into the support services,
Okay.
which by extension has also engineered my own career. Support services. We swept the church. We arranged the pews. We served at the car park. When there's a funeral in the church, we were the first to be there. When there are, that's my heart.
Right.
And so some people, in fact, even the church had nominated me because we have this annual thing where you are made a minister, not pastor, but officially you're a minister in the church, meaning that you represent the pastors at functions and things. I've been nominated twice, but I went and I knew that it wasn't me. I knew that it wasn't me.
So you rejected it?
Oh, reject is too strong, but
You swerved.
No.
Well, swerve is just
I
academic.
would be there, but I wouldn't wake up to do the work because that's still not me.
Yeah.
And that's not to disrespect the role. It's just that it's not me. Mine is you give me any work, you know, considered a menial, I'll do the work. You know, so that's still what I do. I mean,
Right.
Archbishop calls me, he wants this done. I have to stop whatever I'm doing and go and do it.
You
No
remember
question.
the famous Archbishop prayer? In the name of he who died and lived and arose. You know what? The way he says the arose.
Triumphant.
Triumphant, Jesus Christ, the Son of the living God. You hear this and you feel like hell is shaking.
Yeah.
No, we have lived
But
this, man.
let's go to...
You know, when he speaks about the things he did while at Action
Action.
Chapel.
Well, I'm still there.
It's still, I mean,
Yeah.
but when you were actually
We are working
volunteering
there.
there,
Yes.
it just tells me that some things stick with you forever. Because he's mentioning these things, and I see these things, especially on the caravan. Yeah.
With everything.
Yes,
you know?
exactly. We get to a place that people are delaying. He takes a plate. I'm like, this man, go and sit somewhere. Why?
You know, I remember,
That's me.
Some years ago in Adabraka, I think the kitchen was dirty or something.
Yeah.
Everybody was walking around, and then all we saw was Papa has picked the mop. He's mopping the floor. And people felt like he ran it.
Obibe Kofi.
You know that, and sometimes it's not even about the Obibe Kofi
Yeah.
per se. It's about how it never clicked
Yeah.
to anybody.
You won't
know,
see it coming.
That's
You
the
won't see it
thing.
coming.
You know, because we were all walking past the whole thing. It never occurred to anybody that call maybe a steward to clean it or do it yourself. He came, he didn't call anybody, he picked the mop.
Yeah.
And when you see things like this, you know, it's gone. There's nothing you can do about it. The man
Well,
sometimes you ask yourself, no, Papa will cry.
I
What
actually
is it?
don't remember though, but you know,
Because it's your life.
Yeah.
it's actually what I picked from my auntie Gifty.
Oh, okay.
Mrs.
Oh, wow.
Gifty Hammond Adom.
Okay.
You know, I mean, she was the woman who taught me how to live a responsible life. I mean, she would do it the way you are just describing it. And she would do it so well,
Yes.
you will be embarrassed.
Exactly.
Extremely.
You know, and I picked a lot of things from her, a lot. I mean, today she hears me on radio, and at times says that, oh no, pani, you know, as in Peninsula,
Yeah.
and I know in my head that it's just
This is just you.
you.
This is just you.
Right.
Yeah.
Mama.
Right. So I think now we have an idea what happened on KNUST. You studied computer science.
Yes, I did computer
Let's
science,
move
yeah.
to after
school,
KNUST.
yeah.
Yes, you practiced what you studied in school.
Yes, I did.
So
I mean,
computer science?
I did computer science, yes, but I wasn't very good with programming.
Okay.
I wasn't. Why I say I wasn't good? Well, my grades in programming were not that interesting. But I know why, because if you want to do programming, you should know how to sit down.
Okay.
And that wasn't you.
And that wasn't me. So I had good friends who were cracks in programming. My friend Giorgio Fusu at Bank of Ghana, Andrew Akote, who used to work with Mechanical Lloyd for years. You know, they were cracks with programming. But yeah, I just thought that I won't sit down for 3 hours. So what's that? I wanted to be in a hurry too.
Yeah.
So I ended up picking and choosing, you know. So after school, I got, you know, while I was in school, I was always doing work placements with a particular company, IT company. So post-university, I ended up working with them.
Okay. Which company is this?
It was called ICL Computers.
Okay.
ICL Computers belonged to Rees & Co. But I wasn't even 3 months there when they shifted me from the systems department where they would write. And I remember something that happened. I was given 2 projects. You know, one was a program for Rabito Clinic.
Right.
Oh,
And I
okay.
was asked to write the program. Charlie, after 3 months, I know the seat up, Charlie. You know, my supervisor at the time, Mr. Kweku Benefu, just said to me, look, you better move to the marketing side. You know, so I was shifted to marketing, which will be the beginning of my entry into the industry proper.
Yeah.
And then I moved from ICL to another company, Digitronics. But I spent months at Digitronics and then started doing my own IT stuff. So
okay.
I was selling IT accessories, setting up systems for small companies. And I'm not talking about major systems. I mean, because people were buying PCs, and those days PCs came like shell. They didn't have software on them. So you have to format, you have to do the configuration and install program by program. You know, all those things we used to do manually. So I spent maybe about 2 years doing that and doing networking, computer networking, setting up networks for companies and stuff like that.
What was the name
how I
of that
survived.
company? That your company?
Data Express.
Oh, wow. So where did you stop?
I stopped when I could. I you know, I had to choose between the media because while I was doing that, this media thing came up.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
But you also had something to do with Coca-Cola.
Stint with
No,
Coca-Cola.
that will be much later.
Oh, really?
After media.
Wow.
Okay,
That'll be
so
much later
after
after media.
Data Express.
Data
No,
Express.
Data Express, yes. Data
Okay,
Express.
then you shifted
No,
into
so
the
while
media
I was
space.
doing Data Express, my friend, my very good friend, the late Junior Chum,
Okay.
we were mates in tech. He did electrical engineering, but we're closely connected because we're in the Queen's Hall together. He called me one day and said to me that, look, my brother is setting up a radio station and he wants people like you to come and join. And I'm like, well, I've never done radio before, so what's that? So we used to meet every week because he used to do desktop publishing
Oh, okay.
at the time when we used to do lots together when we were in Queens. So every week we'll meet in his house in Laboni. And so one day we were there, the brother came and said, oh, this is the boy I was talking about. So we spoke, and the guy said, no, seriously, I want you to do it. I said, I don't have anything radio. So anyway, fast forward, one Sunday I was home. I used to live in a Shawman Estates then.
Okay.
Junior called me that I'm coming over with my brother, and then they came and they said, look, we are starting this station. And I said, look. So eventually I started buying into the idea that, well, Junior, you say I can do it, maybe I should go and try.
Yeah.
So when I went in, I said to them that, look, the only thing I can, in terms of going on radio, the only thing I can do is gospel.
Yeah.
You know, then Kwesi Chum said, yeah, that's fine. Whatever you want, just tell us and we'll let you do it. And at that time, the station had not taken off properly, not taken off. And so the equipment, we had the equipment co-located with the GBC equipment in Ajangote. Ajangote is just behind,
Someone.
no,
where?
it's just behind Pantine.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
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 Yeah, maybe on the right side of Brekuso.
Okay.
You know, so we went to Ajangote to see everything, and then I met with Dusty Wayne of blessed memory.
Yeah.
So Kwesi said that this man is from GBC, and you know, we used to hear Dusty Wayne on radio.
Yeah.
So I met
Fine man,
Dusty Wayne.
Dusty.
Yeah, so Dusty Wayne took me through a few rudiments of presenting, and then later I met Tommy Ananforcing, who
Oh, wow.
was actually the person who sat by me when I was doing the thing. And I remember the first time I went on radio, I did my presenting, you know, presented the song, and when I finished, I said, thank you. Tommy said, well, who are you thanking? Just
Come
play
on.
us.
So which year was this?
Oh, this was in 95.
Okay.
95. This
Right.
was specifically April of 95.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you will later become the programs manager.
Yeah, 2 years after, yeah.
Okay. Now, when you were a programs manager, so this is Joy FM.
Joy, yes.
Who were some of the presenters, you know, you worked with back then?
So we had a GBC people
Okay.
that were way older than I was when I became programs manager, including Dusty Wayne himself. Tommy had left. We had Kofi Chapon,
Okay.
who was the master jazz presenter. And I have still not experienced anybody that could make you listen to jazz. Kofi Chapon. And then we then had Gabi Ajete, but Gabi, I was with him at Tech, so we knew each other. Gabi Ajete, and then a bit later, we then had Komla Dumo join us because he was presenting the Mobitel Traffic Watch program. And then at some point when Tommy left, we engineered to convert him from a traffic watch reporter to a presenter.
Wow.
So that's how the whole transition. But at this time, he was still in school. He was still doing his first degree. So
At University of
University
Ghana?
of Ghana, yes. He was in second year when he joined. And then we tried to shepherd him through. So worked with Komla, Gabi, Azigiza Jr.
Okay.
Was,
What was Jimmy in all this? Had he come?
No, Jimmy Quist, yes. Jimmy Quist was with us. You know, he entered as a production assistant,
Okay.
a librarian. He did a librarian. And he did a librarian because he had experience with, you know,
music.
he used to work with the spinners,
Yeah.
the spinning group called Paul Moore Sounds.
Okay.
You know,
Paul Moore?
Yeah, Paul Moore Sounds.
Jimmy Lee,
Moore.
Paul Moore.
Paul Moore Sounds.
Paul
yes.
Moore Sounds.
Okay.
You know, so he worked there, and then so Jimmy was with us as production help, but he used to work under a gentleman called Akroma. We used to call him Archives
Oh, okay.
because
Is it
actually-
Emmanuel?
Emmanuel Akroma, yes,
Oh,
yes.
he's no more.
Yeah, he's passed
God bless
on.
his
Yeah,
soul.
one of the most dedicated human
Yeah.
beings that I've ever worked with. Archives was the custodian of all the resources.
Right.
And he kept the studio, everything. So in that, he became very close to all of us, to Komla and every one of us. I don't know if some of the names would escape me.
But
yeah.
Komla and you became more than just colleagues.
Oh, I mean, Komla was a brother.
What
man.
was your relationship with him
Komla
like?
was just a brother, you know, because, you know, when his initial entry into the space was not properly received, and I say that in a more guided way, because he was not your normal radio person.
Yeah.
He wasn't interested in just anything. He won't go to club. He won't do the normal things that people do. And anytime you saw him, he was reading a book. And so they thought he was boring. In fact, they did say he was boring. I remember one day we were having an event somewhere in Sakumono, one of these outdoor events, and I don't know what happened to me. I totally forgot that while we were there, there was no presenter in the studio.
Oh.
Everybody, Cox Tamaklo, Marco Krekumante, Eric de Graft Akins, a.k.a. Alaji Abua, a.k.a. Mr. Bewa. Everybody was there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sakumono. And so the technician called me that there's no presenter here. I quickly had to call Komla.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was in school. Came into the studio and started playing while we were there. Then he hadn't started the morning show. So, and then he called me and said, but he doesn't know what to say. And I said, what's that? He said, no, I don't know. What can I talk? I said, yeah, talk. And he was playing R&B.
Okay.
You know. And so he was talking. And then the guys, some of the guys heard and said that this boring guy that why you put it. And Kwesi Chum was happy that the guy was on radio, you know. Anyway, so it was after that Kwesi had suggested that, look, this guy, I think we should take him more seriously.
Yeah.
And so Komla started that slot that he did by mistake.
Yeah.
He started with that slot.
Okay.
So it remained his slot
Wow.
for a few months, and then eventually he moved. Now, when we were converting him into a morning show presenter, the morning show itself used to start at 7, and it ended at 9, so it was 2 hours.
Yeah.
And he used to split the days with Dusty Wayne. So Dusty would do 2 days, Komla would do 2 days, and then Kweku Sechadu would do the Friday front page, you know. So, but it got to a point, Kwesi took a decision that, look, I want Komla to handle this, and I want you to give him the support. So that's how my closeness with Komla would start. Because there were times that I would wake up at 4 a.m., I would drive to his house at Hacho to go and pick him to work. There were times until he bought his car, and, you know, in fact, Kwesi Chum gave him his car to start with. Kwesi had this Honda that he had brought from the US. So he passed it on to Com, and then Komla started
The box player.
Yeah.
Now, let me ask you a difficult one. The morning that we all woke up to the unfortunate news, where were you? And how did you receive it? I mean, this is when Komla has moved on to BBC and all that. And then we all woke up one day, and this is the news that we were met with. How was that for you?
This was while I was at Citi.
Yeah.
It wasn't the kind of news that anybody would expect.
Not at all.
Indeed, I had spoken to Komla the night before.
Really?
Oh.
Yes, I had physically spoken to Komla the night before, while he had left the house of a man most people know, Joel Kibazo. I think Joel Kibazo, who originally is from Zimbabwe, had done a get-together for journalists or media people or something. So Komla, while on his way home, we were talking whilst on the train. So that was
He
the
sounded
last I
fine.
heard. Yeah, he was okay. He was just okay. He was okay. I mean, and truth is, I think just 2 or so months before, I had gone to the UK and met him together with Ace Ankuma.
Okay.
Yeah, we met to have lunch together, you know. So it was normal catching up. Oh, Charlie, we are from here, this, that, that, that. And then the following day, we were outside of Accra at a workshop, I think a management training program. And while we were there, somebody called me. Actually, somebody called Bernard to inform him that Komla Dumo had passed. So Bernard then comes back to tell me that this is what I heard. And then I must have called Charles Spencer or somebody like that. And once they confirmed, I had to end the program.
I can imagine.
I just ended the program like that. It's not like time has elapsed, and so we have accepted it. As I sit here now, it's still difficult to accept that Komla Dumo is no more. It's actually not real to accept that he's no more, because as we know, he was a man full of life, full of life, you know. And
May he still continue to rest in perfect peace.
Okay, so we're still at Multimedia.
Yeah.
And so from Joy FM, we
yeah.
began spreading.
Well, I mean, we worked with Multimedia. We helped with the setting up of Love FM in Kumasi in '97. Helped with, I think, '98. I think my memory serves me correctly. And then '99 set up Adom FM in Tema. And then we were now faced with the elections, the millennium elections of 2000, which we engineered, introduced new ways of election reporting, what we used to do, reporting on the road, because hitherto we're relying on Ghana News Agency for most of these election reports. But I thought that, no, we couldn't just rely on them. So we started the road shows where I used to drive myself to go with Komla, Stan Dogbe, Paula Domotre. They all would be in my car, and we moved from Accra, spend a whole week outside, moving from region to region and bringing news to people. And eventually, that's how we won the whole reporting for 2000 elections, which would eventually become the model for election reporting. So after 2001, February, I left and went back to business school in the UK. I was away for 2 years, and then from there, I joined Coca-Cola West Africa.
Oh, okay. So that was when the Coca-Cola
Yes.
came inside.
Yes.
But whilst at Multimedia, you were also very deep with events. You know,
Oh, of
yeah.
course. I mean, my role will be running events,
Yes.
running programs, and my director of programs at the time that I was would be in charge of events, would be in charge of news,
Okay.
and would be in charge of programs. So I wore 3 hats, and that's how it worked.
So
I was
you
running
had events like the Rep Your Jersey, or that wasn't?
No,
So
I
which
didn't
events?
do. Well, we were doing all manner of events.
Okay.
But you see, we used to target events that had commercial value.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So all these celebrations, that's when we actually popularized the Valentine thing.
Okay.
You know, well, Valentine, yes, but it's joy that made it so popular. Everybody wanted to be part of it, and the companies used to queue to be sponsors of our Valentine promotions, and it was huge at the time. And I'll tell you a story. You know, for instance, you have Mother's Day celebrated in different parts of the world,
Yeah, on
in the
different
UK
days.
and some European countries in March, and in the US in May. I mean, why is Ghana choosing May? It's because Joy decided that it had to be May.
Right.
And most people don't know this because
Okay.
initially the default was the UK one. That most people refer to the UK Mothering Sunday. But, you know, we had a heavy event schedule in February
Okay.
because of Valentine.
Valentine.
Okay. And because of sponsor fatigue, we could not go back to sponsors the following month seeking for sponsorship
Exactly.
for Mother's Day.
Right.
Yeah.
And most of the sponsors will prefer, you know, to be given space. So we decided that let's downplay March
Mother's Day.
and make Mother's Day May a big deal.
wow.
And that's how it started.
Wow. That's huge.
And we made it such a huge deal that everybody came along. You know, so we looked for holidays and, you know, days that we could celebrate and organize events, family events, you know, all
But
musical concerts
you
and all
were
that.
doing old school reunion.
I left before they started Old School
okay.
Reunion.
Right,
I left
right.
many years after I left before they started
Interesting.
Old
Wow.
School Reunion.
Okay.
No. I take that back. I started Old School Reunion. I take that back.
Yeah.
I take that back. In fact, when you mentioned it's a night with the stars that came to mind.
Okay.
Yeah, Old School Reunion, I started. I started one.
okay.
Very interesting how I started Old School Reunion. So there was this guy, very controversial guy, who was the Deputy High Commissioner to Ghana from the UK, Craig Murray.
Oh, you guys had one back then? one came through recently.
Well, this person was a deputy.
Oh, okay.
Not too different from this guy, though, in terms of the way they did their things. In fact, Craig has since had a lot of issues with the British Foreign Office. You know, so we were friends. So he came to me and said, "Look, this millennium thing, why don't we do something huge that will bring everybody together?" You know. And he put a challenge to us because we used to meet in his house in Cantonments.
Okay.
And so when Craig suggested, I called Common and said, "Charlie, this thing, what should we do?" But at that time, Vibe FM had the Vibrant Carnival.
Okay.
And it was the biggest thing ever. And every time we had our strategy sessions at Joy FM, our target was how to upstage Vibe FM for the Vibrant Carnival. So the challenge was, can you come up with something that will upstage this Vibrant? And that was the target. That was me, my motivation.
Okay.
So when Craig suggested, I looked at different things. And one day, I just told Komlana, look, I think we should get I had gone somewhere. I think I'd gone somewhere and met my Katanga guys.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Right.
it was something, funeral or something.
Yeah.
And everybody, people were excited to meet one
each other.
another.
Yeah.
So I just told Komla that, look, Komla, I think we should do this thing. He said, well, you know the people. Me, I don't know the people. Anyway, so I got things in motion, got the events guys together. And I had a friend, or a sister, of course, who used to work at the trade fair. And most people wouldn't even know this part of the story. So I called her course at trade fair. She was the secretary to the MD of trade fair at the time.
Okay.
And I said, we want to use the car park for an event. They said, car park for what? Well, yeah, events. I said, don't worry.
We know
All
what
we
we're doing
need is
with
the
the
car.
space.
So I said, oh, then I'll tell my boss, you people should come and use. So he gave us the place for 2 days.
Okay.
So 2 days. So I went to tell my boss that, look, we are going to do this old student. And Kwesi, all he needs is a good idea.
He's
He'll
all
give
for
you
it.
100% support.
Wow.
But truth be told, the people that I worked with they couldn't
Get
get
the vision.
the picture. Yeah. So we went, and I separated it because I knew this dichotomy between the old guards and then the newbies.
Yeah.
So I would let the first day be for, I forget whether it's for the older people, and then the second day for the younger people.
ones.
That's how we're doing it. So I called the Ramblers International Band, invited them to come for the first day. And the first day had the old guys, you know, playing Ramblers. Second day, we'll climax the thing. I remember when we were doing it, when we were starting, some of my colleagues from Joy, they came to stand across the street. And they were watching me and say, are you sure people will come? Are you sure? And truth, my boss came there and just out of nowhere said, look, let's do this thing live on radio.
Okay.
It wasn't part of the, of the plan.
Yeah.
Let's do it live on radio. And they said, why not? So we started doing it live on radio, and the thing started picking up.
Wow.
So I think I did it twice before I left Multimedia.
Wow.
And then it grew to become what...
So in all, how many years did you stay at Multimedia?
5 years.
5 years.
I left on my 6th year.
Wow, and you did all the things you did.
Well, we had good people around.
Yeah.
We had people with positive energy. Of course, Komla was on air, so you always hear Komla. In between, we had younger people, Yaw and Pofuankra join in for
Right.
sports. Paul Adumochiri join in. We had Kofi Kumbilson.
Where was Doreen?
Doreen was there from day one.
Okay.
Okay.
Doreen was there. We started the station, I think, about three or so months, and Doreen came. Doreen came to replace a lady called Wendy Mamata. Wendy had joined us from GBC, but
Right.
didn't stay long. So, so Doreen actually defined the whole mid-morning thing. So Doreen has always been with us. Yeah.
Wow, interesting, juicy story.
Mad door,
Yep.
mad door.
Right, so this is the Upside Down Show on ChannelOne TV. Now, we'll take a breather here. When we come back, you know, it is the rise of a new dawn, Citi FM. We'll be right back. Welcome back. This is the Upside Down Show on ChannelOne TV. Our guest today is Samuel Atta-Mensah of 97.3 Citi FM and ChannelOne TV. Sammens, so now
Yes.
you've done 5 years at Multimedia, your 6th year. And interestingly, considering you never did media, no background in media, I mean, your time there and your achievement, very, very impressive, very remarkable.
Well,
so,
Actually, almost threw the idea away when it was.
can you imagine? This is how blessings come. Oh.
No, I don't. Yes, it was remarkable, but I think it was more the case because of Kwesi.
Right.
It
So-
was because of Kwesi.
So now you met a boss, you know, who
Yeah.
will give you his support and all.
Yeah, man.
And at this point, You have the mantle.
To the annoyance of a lot of people.
Well, I mean,
must
these
say,
things do happen.
I must emphasize.
Yeah.
What, you want to talk about something?
No.
We
If
are
I'm
here
double.
for the drama. If you want to drop the bomb, we are
This
here
is
for
outside
it.
our show, you know, everything is welcome.
No, I mean,
But so at this point, you have had a boss who would give you all his support. you
yeah,
know,
and opportunities and push.
Absolutely.
I mean, Kwesi is a person, you people, you think I'm something, you haven't seen anything. Kwesi, if he finds a book that will help.
Yeah.
I mean, those days, we didn't have access to internet.
Yeah.
I mean, internet was just now
Yeah,
coming
coming
up,
up.
so it wasn't the reference point. If Kwesi finds a book that he knows can help you, by the time you wake up, Saturday morning, he's at your gate.
Quite.
And you tell, oh, no, me, I was just passing and at Obwa.
Oh, be
He's-
lying. Oh, be
Then I
lying.
said, oh, I have this book. I think this weekend you can read it, so that Monday we can
Well,
discuss
that
it.
sounds familiar.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
he
yeah, I
will
mean-
give you everything. I mean, that's how it worked for us.
Great.
So Joy FM is there, Adom FM has joined, Love FM has joined, and now you have to leave.
Yeah.
Now you have to come in to be your own
Again,
boss.
After 4 years.
Yeah.
Exactly. Now you have to come be your own boss. There's no Kwesi Chum anywhere. Now it is Sammens. You have to lead a team. You have to make things happen
Yeah.
yourself. Share with us the beginning of Citi FM.
Oh, I mean, look, in practical terms, the only difference between what I was doing at Joy FM and what I was doing or I did at Citi was that in Joy FM, I was nowhere close to sales and marketing. I was nowhere close to administration and finance proper. Okay, that was the only difference.
Right.
But I was responsible for recruitment of my staff, training of my staff,
Right.
you know, everything from news, events, programs. Okay, so what I would add here is now managing finance administration. And then sales and marketing. You know, when we got together, started Citi FM with Uncle Nick, everybody that came on board had benchmarked what we were going to do with Joy FM. So are you sure that you can replicate this Joy FM thing? You know, and it felt a bit lonely because it was like I'm the only person among all these people who actually knows where this thing is going, you know. And Paul had worked with me at Joy, you know, closely, very, very closely with me at Joy. So once we found ourselves together again, he could get the cue quickly, you know.
Yeah.
I think, but yes, it's Sammens starting working with another radio station, but there's a big but. The naysayers said to me that it won't work because you are using students to start.
Right.
You know, and I was using people who were practically in school and getting out of school to start. But I was more than confident because those who used to be dismissive, they didn't know much.
Right.
They didn't know much in terms of, they didn't even know where the joy started from. They did not know that when Komla was hosting, he was in the university. He was actually in school. There were times that because he had exams, I used to bring Kwesi and Nimeje
Okay.
to come and host the morning show. They had forgotten. They forgot that when Paul Adumochi was a political reporter, he was in University of Ghana. They
Right.
forget, you know.
So it was pretty much the same format.
They didn't know that. They
Yeah.
came to meet it when everything was
Was
cooked.
smooth.
But I knew that this is where
How
we
we
started,
started,
and
right.
it is possible.
Yeah.
Dr. Baomi, I'm sorry. You know, it is possible. So
Yeah.
that was where I drew my confidence that, you know,
It's
just give them
gonna
the
work.
opportunity. if you, and I knew the equation that if you went in for 10 people, 2 people would not survive. After 2 years, another 4 people will leave. It was something that we were used to.
Okay.
It was something, and you know, and that's the cycle, the cycle of commercial media in Ghana.
Right.
You know, so I was used to it already, and so we came by the end of the second year, about 50% of them had left, gone back to school.
Okay.
Most of them, in fact, the newsroom, about 50% of them, under the inspiration of Paul Adumotre, went to law school.
Okay.
Yeah, went to law school.
Okay.
So you have Kelly Kwesi Delata, you have Nana Tewia Ochre, you have Clement Akapam, and later Sola Aklamati, you have Nia Patuplange, you have
All these guys were in the newsroom?
Yes. I mean, Nia was in sales, Sola was
Yeah.
in sales, but the culture was so deep
Yeah.
that everybody latched onto it and they all moved. Because Paul was in the law school and he won't let you sleep.
Yeah.
You know, so I would say that Paul had a lot of
Influence. Yeah.
on them. I probably Albert Kwashiga.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
they
yes,
were
yes.
all in the newsroom.
Wow.
And
But you know, one interesting thing, these are the resource persons we have on the question of law.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Because when we did the program, we actually did the program for the past or the former staff
Yeah.
of
Oh, Students
Citi,
Association.
yes, who were in the law
In the law
practice,
practice,
as a
right.
platform,
Right.
you know, because I know what it does to people.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to give people today who are even in Supreme Court
Yeah.
opportunities at Joy FM to come on. We had a law program, I forget the name, which was produced at the time by Maoku Zomelo.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Yeah.
and we used to, and I did the same thing in Kumasi on Lab FM. My friend, who Ajingo, who now calls himself Kwesi Frifa. One of the controversial lawyers in Kumasi. He used to be a constant feature on it, which also gave him a good platform. So it gives them platforms. I mean, law is law fundamentally, but it's marketing.
Yeah.
And if you don't market yourself, Charlie, you will be there. Other people will come and pass. So that's why we did what we did.
You've mentioned all these names, but I'm sure almost everyone watching is waiting to hear about Bernard Avle.
Bernard was in the first catch, the first group of people I went to Legon to, you know, I'd gone to Legon, you know, random to go and look for people to come in. I drove to GIJ first.
This picture.
Look at you.
Yeah,
Can you see you and Bernard on the screen?
yeah.
That's Sula.
Yeah.
Wow,
Actually,
look at that
this
back,
will be
right?
like, this picture will be maybe 3 years, not even the beginning of Citi. A bit later, maybe
Later.
3 years after, you know. So I went there and met with a few people. I remember this lady called A.C. Esuman Johnson. A.C. helped in putting the people together. And then Mark Diamond, who was with us at the time, said that he had this friend called Bernard Avle, who was with
Radio Universe.
Radio Universe. At the time, they used to call it Voice of Legon.
Yes.
And so I asked them to all meet me. So we met outside somewhere, not by my car. And then I started talking to them one after the other without any formalities, you know. So if I talk to you and I feel you can do it, there are some people I spoke to, I never called them back, you know. So I gave them time. But in the case of Bernard, he was now going to write his final exam.
Okay.
Oh,
So I said, don't worry, you go ahead and write your exam when you finish. So after that, I got their names and had them for national service to come and do their national. There were about 8 of them or so, 8 of them. And
Wow.
I think 2 from GIJ and the rest from other places. So they came, did their national service in the newsroom.
Okay.
Yeah, in the newsroom. And it got to a point, we just decided to make some changes. And so I got Bernard to start joining the morning show as a host. So that's how it started.
Great stuff.
Now, many years after Citi FM is born, will come Citi TV. You've all the time done radio.
Yeah.
How did TV come into the whole picture?
Okay, TV came. My interest has never been with TV, frankly, but TV came when we started experiencing the media convergence between digital media and analog, you know. So, and then the new media platform kind of created the space for analog, radio, digital, everything to merge. And so whatever audio transmissions that we were doing needed to be visualized. And so because of new media and then eventually social media. So we noticed that we were getting into more multimedia stuff. We had an event, we have our audios we are playing, but people needed to see. And so it opened the gates for us to start this multimedia approach. So once we got ourselves into multimedia production, I thought that we were readying ourselves for television. That's digital television, not analog. I mean, I was nowhere for umpteen years to come, nowhere going to go close to analog television. And so we made the efforts, and then in 2015, we got the license to operate satellite television. You know, but at the time, I wasn't too sure about the fortunes of satellite television in Ghana. It was not until 2017 that we applied, because there were digital TV licenses available, that we applied for digital, and we were given the digital. So once we got the digital, 2018, we started the television, which we are now watching.
And 6 years after, we are ChannelOne TV.
That is it. And I'm sure you are still not done explaining to people, you know, who have access to you, why the name change. So let me help everyone else who would from tomorrow still come back to you for explanation why we changed from Citi TV to ChannelOne TV.
Yes. We changed Citi TV to ChannelOne TV because we thought we had gotten to the point where we needed to, if you like, isolate the two brands, because on one part, it had helped the TV to create a speedy degree of awareness. But on another side, the FM brand was cannibalizing the TV brand. There were times people met you and then what they say is that, oh, I was just watching you on Citi FM.
Watching on Citi FM.
You know, I don't know. You never. I used to get that a
Even
lot.
when you go on assignment, you have the camera in front of people, you have the microphone.
You're still called Citi
heavily
FM.
branded Citi TV. They still say, yes, thank you very much, Citi FM.
Yeah, and that really affected our audience ratings. It affected because people used to even when they were watching Citi TV, they would say that Citi FM when they are asked the questions. And so from 2021, we decided to have a new brand for TV.
Right.
And so that's when we started working towards ChannelOne TV. So we registered ChannelOne in 2021, and we started putting things in place. But we decided to wait for the election year because we knew that it had a lot of activities, and our engagement with the viewers was better during elections, and it will give us a better opportunity for name recall, even if we change the name. So we waited for this year. On our 6th anniversary, we did the name change, and it's been we did it in June, 4th of June,
June 4th.
today. So we are still moving on. as Channel One. That's why we did Channel One.
Papa, I don't know if you are aware if it is deliberate or it comes naturally to you. You have an eye for detail. You have that gift, if I can put it that way. You know, I mean, as a church guy, let me just use that gift, right? You have the gift to spot talents. Sometimes you see people, it looks like you are the only person in the entire world, not even the person's family.
Yeah.
You know, who sees
Not even
something.
the person himself.
Exactly, not even the person himself, who sees something, you know, in this person, and you believe they can do something that no one else will see. I mean, Bernard is an example. I'm sure when you brought Bernard to come do the morning show, people had their own concerns, you know, as to why you bring somebody like that.
Well,
somebody like Umaru Sanda, you know, come in, look at Sanda today. And then one man who we all are very proud of, you know, Lada Walahiti. You meet her today somewhere in his office, you ask him to come. I don't know what you see in all these people. What exactly is it? Did you learn this? Is it a gift? How do you spot these people?
I miss Dr. Duncan in times like, Charlie, your boss, he employed me with RCVO.
Yeah, you know, I mean, to talk to somebody by your car, and the next minute they have a job, and years down the line, they are huge personalities. How do you do this?
Well, I hear people say this. I mean, the only thing they don't say is that I have also failed sometimes.
Well, those ones we won't see.
I have failed sometimes. I remember at Dome FM, for instance, I had some guys that you know, when the station started, I actually physically drove. And those days, I used to do this all alone by myself. I drove to places, Obuasi, and I'll sleep there, listen to 1 or 2 radio stations, trying to look for talents. We went to Takra, they went to Cape Coast, looking for people. I remember bringing this boy from Obuasi, and a guy could say a lot of proverbs in Chi, and, you know, employed him at Adom at the time. I mean, after a few months, we had to let him go. You know, so we've had some. But I think over time you are prompted with intuition sometimes, that when you see some people, and for me normally it's based on attitudinal expressions. You know, yes, there's something I look out for, but different occasions would require different expressions of talent.
True.
So it's not a one-size-fits-all, but maybe if you look at the trajectory of my career, I think what you distill is that this person knows how to spot talent.
Yeah.
Maybe you can say that, but I'm not sure whether it is my gift, but this is how I have operated.
Right.
They say that, oh, a lot of the things you do succeed. No, some of the things have failed. We started, in fact, I've done newspaper twice, actually.
Oh, okay.
I've done newspaper twice. We had something called the Telegraph, I think.
Yeah.
The Telegraph newspaper, which I started in 2003 or so. 2003. I was then with Coca-Cola, actually.
Okay.
I was in Liberia, Sierra Leone. I used to come down, you know, I think 2002, 2003, yeah. And incidentally, one of the people I was working with is Larry Dogbe.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
Yes, Larry used to work with me.
Before Herald?
Yeah.
Easy.
It was when I shut the newspaper down that I took Larry to my friend Mauko Zomelu, who used to run the newspaper Network Herald. I physically took Larry because I shut it because I needed to concentrate on Coca-Cola.
Right.
And so I took Larry there. I remember the morning that I took him there at Ridge. We went there, handed him over to Mauko.
Where did you find him?
Larry,
Yeah.
I got him from GIJ.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I got it. When I started the newspaper, I went to GIJ and told them that I needed people, and he was one of 2 people that The other one, I will not
The
mention.
Lansdowne.
I will not mention her name because
oh.
she's in the security services. So, you know,
Okay.
and
Where did you find Richard Sky?
Richard used to work with the Statesman newspaper.
Okay.
At the time when Gabi Ochedako was the editor. And so it was Gabi who once told me, look, I have this gentleman who is dying to do radio, you know. So I said, let him come. So that was it. No interview, nothing. He came and said, go for assignment, you know, and that was it.
Pat,
Same with Shamima, it's Gabi who brought Shamima.
So when you sit down today, okay, and you look at all these human beings that you've played a role in their lives, how far they've come. I mean, look at the number of lawyers you just mentioned, okay? I mean, Nana is here, I'm here. I mean, Nana, we are big people.
In our own right.
In our own right, you know. But when you sit down and look at all these people, how do you feel? And what do you think the future holds for all of us?
Well, you just have to get going. I mean, I owe it to all of them. Honestly, I owe it to all of them. I expect nothing in return. And the reason is that somebody also gave me the opportunity, and Kwesichum indeed gave me the opportunity. I mean, it's an opportunity. I'm telling you, and I don't know, I can't say it, I can't say it enough. The opportunity that Kwesichum gave me. I don't know about others. I mean, I can't speak for others. But he gave me an opportunity, and he believed in everything that I was doing. I mean, I remember when we traveled to Kumasi, it was myself and him going to, because he didn't know much about anything about Kumasi. You know, so we went physically looking for a place for an office. I remember we went to Fanchimbra.
Fanch is big.
Fanchimbra. We went to meet a man, Mr. Frifa, who used to be the marketing director of KBL at the time.
Okay, Kumasi Brewery Limited.
Kumasi Brewery, Mr. Frifa, who was supposed to help us, you know, so we're there, me and Kwesi were moving from place, you know, in the US, we put you on a course in America, Atta-Mensah, you have to go for this course, this. Next time I'm on a plane, you know, in the UK, you're the one who knows UK. Let's go. You know, every time opportunity, you know. So if anybody is interviewing me, my story will not be complete if I do not mention 3 people. One is my auntie, Mrs. Gifty Hammond Adom. One is Archbishop Duncan Williams, and the other is Mr. Kwesichum.
Right.
Wow.
Absolutely beautiful.
So one day, at the end of it all. By the way, how many children do you have?
2.
Okay.
A boy and a girl. A man and a woman now.
Well,
I mean, pretty much,
Martin,
a lawyer and an economist, or what is, right?
My daughter is a lawyer, yes, and then my son is a finance person.
Right.
He did economics in school, but he prefers to be referred to as a finance person.
No, whatever he prefers to be referred to, we are okay.
Once there's a reference.
Of course. but to my final question, one day when all is said and done, how would Sammens want to be remembered?
I honestly don't have an answer for that. I honestly don't have an answer for that. I don't know because we've had, you know, you don't expect too much from people. Otherwise, you end up
being disappointed.
So I like to live one day at a time. Just be good to people as much as you can. There are times that you may have to break your back, bend backwards, just to accommodate people. But whatever it takes, mine is to exude positive energy to people. Young, old, you know, whoever. Because as you invest in their lives, 2 things will happen. They may not directly invest back in your life, but somebody may invest in the lives of your children's
Right.
children.
That's true.
So one day,
Should we expect a book someday?
isn't there making? Yeah, I don't know, but this one I speak with faith.
I did start, I started something that I had sat down with Komla, and then I started writing. But I had to truncate it when he passed on, and I've been struggling to rewrite.
You have to.
Anytime I've met Paul Adumotre, he comes up, you have to write this book.
Yeah.
And Paul has this habit of remembering the most critical things that may have escaped you. I mean, he says it like it happened yesterday. So yes, I will do my best to write my
Please do.
experiences.
Please do.
And see, at times I don't know what to write.
No, call all of us. We'll give you a chapter each.
No, to be honest, at times I don't know what to write because it's like you haven't done much to do and write.
Well, much is relative. I mean, coming
Modesty
from-
doesn't even look good on you.
Not at all.
Because I used to teach. I
Right.
used to teach. The attraction is to why don't I write a textbook?
Okay.
And some people say, no, we want you to share your
No,
experience.
we don't want the textbook. We want,
There'll be an audience for both.
because the textbook, anybody can write it.
There'll be an
But the
audience for
Sammens
both.
story has to be told by you.
Exactly, yeah.
But so talking about, you don't know what you want people to remember you for, okay? I'm sure it is also because you mean different things to different people.
yeah.
And people relate to you on different levels, even at
correct.
work.
Yeah. That's
People,
correct.
so there can be one thing that everyone will remember you for. So we all have how we are going to remember you.
Should we
Now,
show it to him?
Yes, because
Should we show
this
it to him?
is how we will remember you in our own ways.
Well, if you, it's okay to remember me the way I have
Impacted or
engaged you,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, whatever you are remembered for should bring you some satisfaction or inner satisfaction.
So hold on. Let's see if you have that inner satisfaction now.
Sammens, as we all call him Papa, he's an amazing boss, he's a good father and a great teacher, and I am so pleased and grateful to be working under him.
So people know him as someone Atta-Mensah, aka Sammens, but to us he is more than a boss. He's a father figure, he's a mentor, he's everything that an employee will look forward to be boss. And so I want to say I love him so much, I appreciate him. I think the opportunity that's given to us, the younger ones here, and I will say God bless him. We should keep being the father figure that we all know. Love you so much.
It's like the father I never had. When I came to Citi, I had no hope, but through his advice and everything, and the opportunity he gave me as an editor, I think I can't say I've gotten here without his help. So all I will say is thank you, Sammens.
All right, so Sammens, our papa, our boss, he's a fantastic leader, great inspirer, can see things a lot of people can't see. He can see capabilities in you that you didn't even know you had. And he's a great motivator, great teacher, and he's somebody who encourages a lot.
Sammens, he's a father with the heart of a mother. God bless you, Papa.
Papa, he's a very caring man, very generous and very sweet.
Sammens, as most of you know him. In here we call him Papa. So the story goes, like one time I was at Kolebu to visit a patient who happens to be my sister. So I met Sammens like in the compound of Kolebu, and I just approached him. I was like, "Hey sir, I'm a huge fan." And so we shook hands, and I mean, not knowing me from Jack, he just asked me to come by the office. And I went to see him at the office, and and that was it. That's how I landed my job. So I'm not to joke with them. And I mean, with no prior experience in media, I learned on the job, and under his leadership, I'm growing in the industry. So yeah, I'm very grateful for him for coming into my life, and I appreciate him. Thank you.
Charlie, where do I start from? Like, where to feel me, guys? Sammens is an angel. Listen, the man is a shepherd. I mean, I just thank God that my path crossed with him. I remember when I used to work as a tour guide at Molly National Park in Damogo. Listen, they came there and I spoke to him, and he didn't even think twice. I told him I wanted to come and work with Citi, and he was like, come. So Charlie, I took a car from now, go to Accra, and the rest is history. This is a man who is very selfless, very, generous, like to the core. He's had this huge. Listen, I just can't describe him. And I'm just grateful and thankful to God for his life and the impact he's had on generations and people out there. Myself and a host of people who have passed through his hands have benefited a lot and are really doing well in their respective endeavors. I want to say thank you so much, Sammens, for the opportunities that you've given us. We don't take them for granted, and God bless you so much. We are praying for you, and thank you so much.
Samuel Atta-Mensah, the man is an institution. There's so much to learn from him. He has so much to offer, and he puts young people on. I like the fact that he believes in young people, believes in their talent, and is always looking forward to give young people the opportunity to explore. I mean, give them that big space to explore and discover themselves and become better versions of themselves.
Oh, appointed father. Appointed father. I remember sometime last year I was home with my nephews and I got a message from Sammens. He was like, "What do you think about the program where you were telling the stories of Ghanaians abroad?" Bro, I just left the kids and I was just jumping around. Went home and I was so excited. I was like, yeah, we can do it. Why not? I mean, and that's what, I think if you pay attention to the background, that's what's airing now, Beyond Borders, Sammens is a visionary. He identifies talent and he doesn't just throw you in, he holds your hand, walks the journey with you. So I tell you, while we were in the UK, for example, everywhere we went, he was there with us. And he was in this dark winter jacket, very big, and we're like big boys following the bigger boy, walking through the streets of London. And he goes like, yeah, when we get to the train station, he said, just read, you never get lost, just read it. I mean, when I came here, I never thought I could do Backpage, what many of you know, and it was all his idea. Now he's struggling with it because, you see, I'm on the breakfast show now, and so he's still also trying to then kill him. No, you have to tone this down, you have to do this. And I mean, look, he has vision, he identifies your talent, and then he holds your hands and gently guides you through it. And a lot of the times, he allows you the space to do, you air, then he gives you feedback. But yeah, so honestly, Sammens is a blessing. So Sammens, thank you for all you do. Thank you for not giving up. We only do not know what you go through to put all this together, but thank you for all the fights you fight in order to give some of us a place to realize our dreams and contribute to the growth of our nation. So thank you for everything. God bless you.
We love you, Sammens!
Can we say ours here? We love you, Sammens. But now, quickly, in Papa, you come in. But in 30 seconds, let me ask you your own impression of Sammens.
I mean, I don't want to call him a boss because the general understanding of a boss is far from who he is and what he represents to me. A father, teacher, shepherd, a guide. I had done TV for what? Almost 14 years before joining Citi. I didn't even know what a news special is.
14, but at where?
In a 2 verse at 1.
You too, Charlie. I
didn't know what a news special is. But I came, the man, I was actually on leave that day and he called. Nana, where are you? I said, I'm in Tama. Share me when that story we are going to special. But step-by-step guidance. And today he just calls me, oh, we have to go and film these people.
And you are a pro.
And I'm on the way.
Yeah, man.
So, Papa, not because you are here, and even from outside, everyone knows the impact is huge, and we're super, super, super grateful. How I got into the city is even a different story.
No, we'll share that later. That's another episode, yeah. So,
but God
Pops,
bless you, Pops.
You've heard. You said, now we don't wait for the person to leave, before you give him his flowers. This is what the people say.
So you went around and recorded
it?
Oh, yeah, we did, yes.
We want you to smell the flowers now.
Yeah, smell it and have it. Yeah. But this is it. When you be back?
Oh, I mean, it's still work in progress. Let me put it that way. It's still work in progress. And while I am said to be impacting on others, others have also, I keep saying, giving me the same opportunities. And so, because we are faced with different situations as we grow, it's just important to stick, as I say, stick to the knitting, so that our the undergirding values that gives us strength, we can put it together at all times. Because yes, we have created radio, we have created TV, but there's still a lot ahead of us that we have not experienced. So every day for me is a new opportunity to encounter life, but you can't do it alone. So we always need people around us.
Yeah.
Well, so unfortunately, we just have to wrap it all up.
Thank you.
But we can sit here. Why are you saying thank you? Like you've been wanting to go. Because
left to us, we'll do part 3.
Exactly. But what I can say is, you are a man of many parts.
Yeah.
You wear many hats.
Yeah.
The media and where you have come from is what maybe people can follow easily.
Very
because
much so.
This is radio or TV, so it's easy to track.
Exactly.
But you also have hidden things you do that people don't even know. You're staying with some musicians and all that. Your relationship with. Sometimes when you talk, I listen, and your relationship with the CK man, with Aaliyah, with and the combination, the cocktail of. I mean, what's the link between CK Man and Aaliyah? And then there's a certain, Aaliyah and CK Man, and there's Ron Kenoli in there, a Beanie Man in there, all the stuff you were doing with, with Mogo, bringing all the musicians together. I don't know how you're able to do all this, and your love for music and everything that you do. We are moving to where Abeku is, because once you are a presenter, you always, once you see the console and there are speakers around, there's a microphone, we can just count you down and you do something. And I think that we can wrap up, okay? And whilst we are moving, you have to let us know how you are able to get all these people come together, your relationship with them, your love for music, and all that.
Well, it's just waking up to occasion. When the opportunity presents itself, you do what you can, But in terms of music, as I do, I only play gospel music on radio, which I still do every Sunday morning. So I don't know which music you are talking about.
Well, but you are also behind everybody, okay, making input. So you are the.
I'll say that
a producer at large. So you are always
is that large
for
me?
You are a producer at large, so everybody you have an input,
Well, I learned, if you like, secular music again through the opportunities given to me by Mr. Chum, because we used to subscribe to what we call the hit discs. Those days, every song was recorded on CD, compact discs. So the hit disc will do a compilation of the top songs, urban songs in the US and some in Europe. So every week we're receiving. And the thing about it at the time was that once you received the disc, I had to listen to every song.
Oh, okay.
I was forced to listen to, I was technically a gospel person, but I was forced. And actually, and that was my Marco Krikumante and Cox Tamaklo, I need to mention. Cox was one intelligent human being I worked with. He was much younger, but he had this thing, you know. So we worked together, and that's how I got myself into the R&Bs and all these things, and grew from there, you know. But if you left me, I'll play songs, English songs, rather than Famous High Life.
Yeah.
Although I had my own icons in the industry, like Uncle C, CK Man, and the rest, you know. So, yes, through the work, I've been exposed to music, and it just defines my personality. You know, music that I'll play when I'm found alone. I mean, it's just what it is.
All right. Come on, let's sign out of here and watch the man play. Yeah.
I mean,
You want me to play?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you have to give us something, you know, behind the 1 and 2.
Well, I mean, it's just one song that I normally would play.
So you will play it?
Yes, I can play it.
Super.
Right.
You want me to go there?
Yeah, we all are going there.
We're joining you there.
We are going there with you.
All right.
So
maybe you can say our goodbyes, you know, and just go boogie it all out.
Well, as usual, it's been amazing. It's been a wonderful show. So much to learn. From here, we have the privilege of picking more out of the studio. Hopefully, we'll share some with you on social media. But it's been amazing. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Upside Down Show. My name is Nana Tufo.
And I'm Frema Edunyame. And in fact, Sammens, if you don't write the book, I feel at this point I can write a biography.
Thank you.
For you. Thank you very much for watching. But we move over there and see what else we can also
So
move
which song
to.
am I going to play to end this one? You know, thank you. So, all right. I'll play one from the group The Real Thing.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
You to Me Are Everything. The song that, it was an old song that popped up again in the 80s and 90s or so. Yeah, in the 90s again. And I particularly loved it because there were, it had Ghanaian influences. The key vocalist, it was Yamo and Ekoamo who led The Real Thing.
Wow.
And so that's the... I think this is the kind of song that you